Congratulations! You now understand how sprites and nodes are added to the scene, how they can be moved or modified using actions, the game loop, and physics. So what comes next? Well, unless you plan for your game to actually be a movie, you need some way to interact with it. You need a way to control the game. iOS games commonly use screen taps and occasionally the inbuilt accelerometer to detect when the device is being moved. You can also support MFI game controllers, but keep in mind if you choose to do so, you still need first-class on-screen controls. An iOS game cannot require the use of a controller. This is an actual rule in the Human Interface Guidelines for iOS apps. If your app doesn't follow these guidelines, it will be rejected from the App Store submission. Okay, Mac games on the other hand, they don't have any touchscreen controls or motion sensitivity, and instead rely on the keyboard and mouse. They also have no support for game controllers. This is a shame, but will hopefully get looked at again in the future. So whether you are pressing a button or touching an on-screen button, you still want the same result. If you press the jump button, you want the physics engine to apply an upward impulse to make the character jump. So how can this be achieved? Remember when we were talking about the game loop, how it was an inbuilt function the game iterated as quickly as possible? Well, screen taps and button presses are also attached to an inbuilt function, but instead of activating automatically, they activate in response to an action. When you tap the screen, the function is run. It will also provide you with some basic data such as the location of the tap so you can work out exactly what has been pressed. On a Mac, the function is a little different, in that button presses and screen clicks also have functions that are activated passing in information like which button is pressed and the location on the screen that is being clicked. How you deal with these interactions is completely up to you, and quite often determined by the way you handle your nodes. For example, if your node is handled by physics alone, then you can apply an impulse or force when a button is tapped. If you are manually calculating movement in the game loop, then you may wish to toggle a variable to true if your button is being pressed down. Let's have a look at how this can be coded. Since it will be different for iOS to Mac, I'll be showing you both methods starting with the iOS method. Right at the end of the practical, I will show you how in a cross-platform project you can include both sets of code.